Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It's Wednesday, and all of our guests today are brought to you by the Vancouver Canadians. The Seas return home Tuesday night for a series against Hillsborough. The homestand includes a fireworks night, Friday nooner, and White Spot Family Fun Sunday, where kids get to run the bases after the game. Check out the full slate and get your tickets at canadiansbaseball.com or call Old School 604-872-5232 as we're joined by TSN Scouting Director Craig Butt. His latest Craigslist is out. Craig, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I'm really good, but you know what this is? This is applause for you two. That was a great interview with Rick Tocchet yesterday.
Oh, thank you.
And to me, what it really speaks to is that not only the credibility you have in the market, but to be able to have Rick come out and speak openly and comfortably with you two speaks volumes about how you treat people and the professionalism you guys have. So real big time applause for both of you.
Well, I appreciate that, Craig. Trust me, it wasn't all applause on social media, but we can't thank you enough for that. Hey, applause for your latest Craigslist. Canucks pick 15th, Craig. So the question for a lot of Canuck fans, among a million others, is they need a center badly. Is there a center around, I'm looking at your list, is there a center around 15? I'm looking at the name Braden Coots, for instance, Cole Reshny from Victoria, who we've talked about before. Is there one that could be available at 15 that could help the Canucks in the near future?
Yeah, I think one or both of those players could. Both Cole, who was really good with Victoria, Braden, who was really good with Seattle, were outstanding with Canada at the U18 en route to the gold medal. And they're not going to be ready to play for a couple of seasons, but those types of players, what I call really good second line centers, and players that play the game in all its important areas, and really smart offensively, really smart defensively. They're not going to be top end offensive players, but they're going to be players that you need to have on your team to win. I'm going to throw another name at you, and that you could potentially use. I should say that they could potentially use to get a ready-made player right now with that pick. You know, there's a lot of talk out of Minnesota that Marco Rossi is available. Marco Rossi is a really good second-line center. So I would say that if you can feel comfortable with Marco Rossi, I certainly would as my second-line center, and he'll come right in and get you 60 points. Maybe that's a way to go with your first pick.
That's a good. What about you? Really like Vancouver's Cameron Schmidt? I do see some places, Craig, he might go early second, but you got him in the first. You've had him in the first all year long. Are you still confident he'll go in the first, Craig?
Yeah, I don't know where he'll go. You know, one of the things that I try to do, Rick, is just my list is more about a projection,
right?
And where I think who I think can be the best players, and given the time to mature, and what would that be, 4 years or 3 years, or in some cases 5 years. But I mean, that's really what I'm trying to do. I just feel that Cameron has too many attributes that scream NHL caliber.
Yeah.
In terms of his skating, his smarts, his ability to score goals. And I really think he did a tremendous job this year of really working in other areas of his game. I may have said this on the show previously. I think if he wanted to this year, he could have scored 55 goals. But I think he was focused in on becoming a much better, well-rounded player. And I think I saw really good evidence of that. But when I see a player that can do the things that he can do, and I give him the requisite amount of time to physically mature, I think he can be a really good, solid NHL player. I feel that way about Cameron.
Yep, no, a lot of people do. Maple Leafs, disappointing. Obviously, Craig, Game 7 to lose. The core four, Marner, what do you do now? Just your thoughts on Toronto, what's going on there, and what the future holds for these guys.
Yeah, I would say that we don't know what the future holds, but if you're going to base it on the past, you better change what you have, or the future is going to look a whole lot like the present.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you're just kidding yourself if you think otherwise. I think Brad Treliving rebuilt the blue line, that made some really good moves to bolster what I call a playoff caliber blue line that can help you win in the playoffs. I think the goaltending's fine. Bottom line is up front they gotta make some changes. And I don't focus in on one player or two players. I focus in on what you got to do to make the team better. And I wouldn't take anything off the table. And people say anything. I said no, nothing. That includes Austin Matthews or anybody else. And I go back, Rick and Donnie, to when the Boston Bruins traded Joe Thornton.
Yeah.
Joe Thornton's a first ballot Hall of Famer, won the Hart Trophy, top player, but they felt they needed a different look in their team. They needed to make some changes. After they traded Joe Thornton, they came back and won the Cup in 2011. There was some period of time there. But when I say nothing is off the table when it comes to what I would consider, that doesn't mean I'm going to do everything, but I'm going to consider everything to try to change the complexion and the makeup of the team. And certainly, I think that if you don't, then you're just asking for the same thing again.
How impressive have the Florida Panthers been, Craig? 5-2 last night in Carolina. I know Carolina had some time off, but Florida looked, as it has in the Toronto series and pretty much all the playoffs in the last couple of years, just tenacious.
Tenacious everywhere. One of the things that Carolina does so well, and we admire about them, is how relentless they are and how they're after it and on it everywhere. Well, Florida is every bit as relentless and every bit as much after it and on it. And they got more skill and they're bigger and they're harder. And when you start to put those factors together, you see now the Florida Panthers look like a team that's extremely tough to beat. And I think that's the case for the Carolina Hurricanes. I was asked after the game last night, what does Carolina have to do? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if there's anything they can do other than maybe hope for a drop off in Florida's game, because Florida right now has got everything. They got goals in game one from all the four lines, power play goals, goal from the blue line. And to me, they dominated the Carolina Hurricanes. And when you see something that's that tilted, I see now a team that's going to be really tough to beat. Think about this: they're 6-2 on the road in these year's playoffs. In the 6 wins, they've scored 31 goals and given up 9.
Wow.
That is something else. When you start, they've given up 6 goals in their last 5 games in the playoffs. This looks like a team in Florida that's just starting to heat up.
And Craig, quickly, Oilers at Dallas tonight, game 1. Oilers allowed just 10 goals in the 5 games against Vegas. Are we talking enough about the Oilers' overall defense? Because so much of the conversation when it comes to the Oilers has to do with offense.
Yeah, well, their offense has been tremendous this year, but their defense has been really, really strong. And when you look at the last 2 games against Vegas, shutout victories for Stuart Skinner, and I feel this way about Stuart Skinner. You don't have to have Stuart Skinner perform like Dominic Hasek. You just have to have Stuart Skinner perform to the best of his abilities. And whatever that is, average or a little bit above average, that's good enough for the Edmonton Oilers to win, because their offense is that good and their defense is that good. When he falls below what his capabilities are, I think that's where the team runs into problems. The Dallas Stars have been bailed out by Jake Ottinger. Their defensive play has not been very good. They're not getting scoring from guys they need scoring from. And if this continues on against the Edmonton Oilers, the Oilers might take this in 5 games.
I think this interview was better than the one with Tocchet. That's just my opinion, Craig.
You're the best. You're the best, Craig.
If you want to sell hairstyling products, I might be the better person to have on. But if you want real good insights from a real excellent coach and an excellent guy, Rick Tocchet, take him.
I don't bring up hair on this show, Craig.
Yeah.
Thanks for this.
Take care.
Yeah, you bet.